Hello everyone, welcome back to Crafting with Slavie, where we make cards and other paper crafts. In today's card video, we're going to make this adorable magic picture changer. This one is for a friend of mine who got some unfortunate health news this past summer, and I wanted to make a card to cheer her up a little bit. So I am using my magic picture changer, which is, I don't know, it's somehow become like my new favorite. It's just so versatile. I love it so much. And I'm using the Get Well Before and Afters, as well as the Get Well Soon, which is a tiny set from Lawn Fawn. And it's got a great combination of these little chicks, and they're like little nurses. It's so cute. So I'm actually using Lawn Fawn ink on this card for the first time as well. So this is lobster ink that I'm using for the little crosses. And I'm also creating masks. So this is the first card I've made for the Magic Picture Changer where my mask has a white border around it, which is why I'm kind of fussing with it here. You can see me trying to adjust it and stuff because the camera picks up the outline of the whale in behind, but I could not see it from the angle that I was looking at it. And the first time I saw that was watching a video by Maureen Simon, and I just love the white border. I think that's why I'm becoming newly obsessed with the Magic Picture Changer, because previously the cards that I made didn't have the white border and it didn't quite fit with the rest of the little critters, but adding that white border just really does something to the card to make it just perfect. Okay, so a note about paper. So this is my first time using my Neenah paper, and it is the classic Crest Solar White in 80 pound. And I know that a lot of people love it, and it's great for Copic coloring, I found. I hated it for ink blending. So you can see that I'm really struggling to get the ink on. I can't get the blend quite right, and I used it for every component of this card because I thought that I would give it a shot, especially because I've been sitting on the ream that I bought for a really long time, so I wanted to see how well it worked. Okay, a note on colors. I am using all new Lawn Fawn ink, new to me. This is fish tanked and I'm using for water droplets, but I used Moonstone for the lighter color. And back to the paper. Yeah, I was not super thrilled with how the paper performed, especially for the ink blending. And I'll have a few more things to say about that a little later. So here I'm also using Lawn Fawn ink in celery stick and jalapeno, because I can't say jalapeno properly, to make this portion of it, which is of course just the add-on to the Magic Picture Changer. And I actually use a technique that I've seen kind of all over the place to create the background. So I'm just getting my backgrounds prepped here. I'm also going to be using the large stitched rectangles to create just my full background A2 sized piece that's going to go directly onto my card base. And I'm using guava and lobster ink to blend onto this panel, and I love that combination. I have to say I actually really love the Lawn Fawn colors. The only bad thing about them that I've found is that they actually stain my waffle flower water media mat. I have tried everything under the sun to get the stains out, and I just can't. So if you guys have a trick, or if you can make any other recommendations, please let me know. I'm happy to take them. I have tried stamp cleaner, StazOn cleaner, warm soapy water, Dawn. Like, I've tried everything and I just cannot get the stains out. And if I'm going to be using this ink more in the future, which I hope to be because I love the colors, I really need to figure out how to clean up my media mat. Otherwise, I might need to purchase a new one that is not for Lawn Fawn ink. Let me know, please. And then I went on to the coloring. There's not a lot of coloring. I stuck to pretty basic colors, just a couple grays and a little bit of orange for the beaks, and then yellows for the bird bodies. But this is all the images I have, and of course the whales. So I'm gonna let you listen to some music and zen out a little bit, and I'll be right back. Okay, so once the coloring was done, I went in to test my panel to see if it had dried enough for me to start working more on the background. And to do that, I applied anti-static powder, and I am sprinkling some embossing powder over it and then tapping it to see if it comes off. Now you can see that it doesn't. That means that the background is still way too wet. So off camera, while I was waiting for it to dry some more, I went and I die cut the rest of my pieces. So just the whale pieces for the magic iris, and I die cut those. And then when I came back and I did the same test here, it worked. The powder came off, so I proceeded with doing the background. Now, a little note, I am using the Concord and Ninth turnabout jig here, and it is awesome. It allows you to use an A2 sized card panel to do their turnabout jig stamps. I, of course, am using it here for my own purposes, making kind of my own background. And the reason I wanted to do it this way is because I am making 2 of these cards. So if you're looking to mass produce, of course, you want to use your stamp positioner, and this is a really great tool. It is also the first time that I've used like the smaller dies to make my background. I love that technique, and I had been dying to try it. So this was a perfect opportunity for me to do that, because the Get Well Soon and Get Well Before and Afters have some really great images that are really great for this, and I don't like masking, so this seemed like a good way to get a bunch of them on the paper. Now I'm using clear embossing powder just to make a subtle background, and I have to say, some tips and tricks that I learned along the way. It does not look good when it looks super uniform, so 90-degree angles here are a bad idea. And you'll be able to see this when I heat this up and set it. I hated it. And I thought about if I could salvage it, and thankfully I can because of the magic picture changer. Of course, it hangs out right in the middle of the panel, so that wasn't going to be an issue. And going from there, I made the little images a little bit more sporadic, which left a little bit more room, which was great because one of these stamp sets has this really cute heart, and I just used that for the remaining little areas. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that the longer you wait in between the stamping and embossing, the drier the ink gets, and you want to use a really wet embossing ink. For the green panels here, I decided that I was going to use the Misty. I was just going to use stamping blocks, and I was going to kind of match it and just do it all in one go. It worked because of the type of background that I was going for, but whenever you don't use a stamp positioner, you can only stamp it once because it's next to impossible to align it perfectly again. And I found that the impressions that I was getting were not very clear. Like, it could have used another stamp with like another impression. I can't speak. But I ended up liking the effect in this case because, of course, I'm looking for a subtle background, and I kind of matched it more or less with what I was doing from one panel to the next, which was easy because they're relatively small. But definitely for anything larger, I would recommend using a stamp positioner. And then I did it all in one go. I just applied the clear embossing powder and heat set it with my heat gun. And you can't tell how well the ink is melting, or sorry, the embossing powder is melting on this panel, but it looks fabulous in the other one. So I did leave the footage in because there's nothing better than watching embossing powder ink melt, at least in my opinion. Okay, so we are moving on now to the Magic Picture Changer, and I am using my Teflon bone folder to work out the creases here, and also to apply anti-static powder to the powder there so that it allows the mechanism to work a bit more smoothly. Then I'm applying my 1/8 inch score tape to both sides of the mechanism here, and that just allows us to create a track for the other piece of paper to go through. Now, this is the other reason why I actually really don't like this paper. And I don't know if it's me or if it's the actual paper or if it's the weight of the paper. So by all means, please leave me comments in the comments box below. I'm happy to keep experimenting, but I have a really hard time finding any other kind of Neenah because I'm in Canada that's more than the 80-pound weight. And considering that this cardstock is not as smooth as I thought it would be, I am wondering if I should even really bother. The accent opaque that I get from Amazon here is absolutely wonderful, and I might be more willing to try that, I think, the next time that I do a magic picture changer than trying to find another form of Neenah. But I normally use Bristol Smooth cardstock as well, which of course is a higher end cardstock. But here you can see how the mechanism got stuck, and I tried applying more powder. I tried everything I could think of, but it just would not go, and I could feel the paper was kind of gritty, and the other one worked for a while, and then eventually it didn't. So I ended up throwing them both in the trash and starting over. And if you ever get to this point, this is why we test the mechanisms, right? Like, it sucks to get here and realize that your mechanism doesn't work, but for the sake of your project, you kind of have to take a breather and go back and attack it with a new set of eyes, which is what I did. I actually came back to it the next day because it was pretty late at night when I realized that it wasn't going to be working, and I just redid these panels, and you can see that even the ink likes this paper better. I got a softer impression. It blended smoother on the Bristol than it did on the Neenah, and I was really happy with the result I got here. So it ended up actually working out in my favor that I had to redo this portion. And I did the same thing as before, and then I just did it all en masse. I lined everything up. I put my powder tool on there, and I had to start using a brush because my bristles on that powder tool are just so beaten up. They look like they need to be replaced, and I don't think they sell replacements. But you can see already that the mechanism works a lot better. It's not as difficult for me to get it to work. And then I apply the little stopper mechanism so it doesn't go anywhere because I'm super paranoid about it going places. And you can see that I have a little helper who's a bit of a little thief. So as soon as I put one of these aside, she stole it. All right, and then I'm using my 1/8" tape to go around the add-on to the Magic Picture Changer here. And this is my first time when I use tape instead of liquid glue, and just along the edges, I don't know if I really have a preference for one or the other. I just thought it would be kind of fun to try and assemble this card with just dry adhesive. And here I am using my dot runner. See, I have dot runner. I swear it exists. But I think I might just stick with the liquid glue from, well, just forever. It's such a good adhesive for me, and I like that you can kind of wiggle things around for a bit after you've put it all together. So then I go ahead and I attach the panel, and I add foam tape. There's my daughter again. Add foam tape to the back. Normally I do 4 strips. I don't know why I only did 3, but no saggy middles, right? From there, I started working on my sentiment, and I am using a simple wavy banner here to modify the Get Well Soon sentiment and stamping it out in black licorice ink. Just because I've heard that the black licorice ink is supposed to get a nice crisp impression. The jury's still out on that one. Again, it might be the paper. So I went ahead and I started assembling my card. I peeled the backing off and adhered the Magic Picture Changer to my card base. And then I used half-inch and 1/4-inch foam squares here to adhere all of my little images. And I did double up on the sentiment on the side that overhangs, just because it was going to overhang onto the red piece of the card and I wanted it to be sturdy. And I attached the little hat because it's so cute. Some more of those and adhered that to the panel, and I thought I was done. But then I realized I really wanted a sentiment on the inside of the card. I am really getting into these, and this one seemed to fit the bill. It just says, hope you were back. Oh man, what does it say? Hope you're back on your feet soon. There we go. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had a good time with me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.